Welcome to Classic Burners. On today's episode, we will feature one of LA's all-time greatest bombing duos, Sir and Wisk, from the IFK and BKA crews. So hop on board and don't miss the bus. All right, everybody, we got the dynamic duo in the house today. So, this is exciting because we are talking about what is probably one of the most legendary 1-2 team combinations coming out of Los Angeles, and that's Wisk and Sir.
Word.
Okay,
What's
thank
up,
you,
man?
both of you, for being taking the time to
My
come
man.
out, man. Appreciate you guys.
You got it.
And you're welcome. And so now we're gonna really start off from the top for everybody, which is like, okay, for some basic knowledge, they basically came out of the West Side. Meaning like what, the Malibu, not Malibu, Santa Monica, Westwood,
Mar Vista,
Palms,
Westwood,
all those areas, right?
Mhm.
Uni High,
Yeah.
right, that type of area. So which means that your early history probably involved the beach to some degree. Am I not wrong with that?
Big time. Yeah,
So,
man. That's how BC started too.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So I mean, like,
Cooling in Cali.
I think Sean was in the West Side before I was. I landed. I don't know. I want to say like I landed in 85.
Okay.
1985.
Yeah, you're originally like White Fence, East LA, somewhere out that way, right?
Yeah.
Those areas?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. V&E.
Okay,
That
V&E.
area- Yeah,
that
V&E.
area, Okay.
So yeah, I got out here, lived with Pops, and it was cool, man, because like I could take my boogie board. I was boogie boarding at that time from the 8 line, blue line, to the beach, from my house to the beach. So it was like, oh man, it's like fucking Disneyland out here, like living with Dad. It was like I'd go to school, fucking blaze, go to the beach, fucking just ride waves, do the sunset, come back home.
Beautiful.
Just like I was just like living the life. I was like, this is where to live, is West Side, And it was time to go to school, so it was like my first day of high school. I remember walking up to Uni High. I'm like, damn, man, this place is fucking big. I was like, shit, And the first thing I saw were like pieces, man. That school had a lot of riders and that had pieces just for this special day called the first day of school.
Where would they piece the pieces on?
They were piecing like in the walkways. They were piecing on the walls at uni. I remember seeing the Latin Kings up. I remember seeing Vice 67. Kuzi was there too. Risky was riding surf back then. I seen Crazy J, and these all pieces. Blitz had a piece up there. I'm like, damn.
Now, were these the older kids? Like you were the scrub and they were the seniors?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
I'm just kind of like just starting to write, really, And I remember seeing all that, and I remember telling myself, you know what? I'm coming back tonight, and I'm gonna do something. Like I want to say, hey, I go here too, guys, And so I did this like primitive WK throw up. I got a picture of it because Malva Hill. Remember Malva Hill? Yeah. Malva Hill gave it to me when he kicked me out. He's like, hey man, we're kicking
Polaroid.
Yeah, Polaroid. he kept a box of Polaroids, like just the bus riders, whatever. And he kicked me out. And he's like, hey man, here's your Polaroid. See ya. And they sent me to Hamilton. But yeah, man, that was dope. It was good times. Like I was like, damn, all these riders, like they go to my school, you know what I mean, or I go to their school. I don't know. And I just started meeting everybody, And I met Pressy, Edit. Yeah, rest in peace. I met Risky. There was another kid. He used to write Spray Crazy. It was I think his name was Junkie, Jonke, but he wrote Spray Crazy, which I thought was really cool. I saw Kuzi up. I just like really really cool to see these riders and stuff.
Now, was there age difference between you two, or you guys?
Yeah, we're
about
like 2 years old. Maybe I'm 2 years older than you.
I never even thought about it, but
Yeah.
he was always he was in high school and I was in junior high.
Okay, so
it was kind of like that division. I didn't really think about the age.
When I met him, he was 13 and I was 15.
Okay, but when you're going to uni, where are you
Yeah.
going at the time?
When I was hooking up with him, it was Emerson Junior High.
Emerson.
I think Resson said he went to school, the same school with you. He used to get bused from Southgate to Emerson. Do
Yeah.
you remember a guy, Resson?
Resin.
Resson, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, he had a piece book with your tags in it and stuff, so I remember. Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah, I'm from originally like the Carson area. I was born in Inglewood, then moved to Carson. That's where Dream and the ABC crew out there, they were bombing back then. And I didn't really have any idea what it was. But by then I had already transferred to LA. I went to Virgil Junior High. I met some writers over there. They were mostly doing, gang kind of throw-ups and tags and stuff like that. And then when I finally got into the graffiti thing, I was at Bancroft. That's where I met Mech and
A lot of good writers went to Bancroft.
Frost.
Big
Price, Smurf,
Smurf,
Reef.
exactly,
Oh, yeah, okay.
exactly. That whole crew was up there. Chicagoism went there for a year and a half. He's now with the Jurassic 5, right?
Yeah.
So Rem and Relax were there, dog. They were fucking the homies back then. And anytime I got into trouble, they'd always come back and back us up. 'Cause
Those
we
were like
just-
Hollywood Kings, pretty much, right there. Right?
basically, yeah. I mean, they were just holding it down in that area. I mean, Carlos and Relax, they were just men at that point. I looked up to them. I mean, it's like, dude, what are you doing in junior high, dog? They were holding it down for me. So there was one event where Sire from KSN came down, looking for, I think, Mac and me, and basically Rem backed it up and kept us from getting our ass kicked. I mean, we were kids, man. We were just 13, and they were coming for us. You know what I mean?
Get Up Stickers is the ultimate bombing sticker. Made from military-grade materials, these stickers are super easy to peel and were made for putting on tanks. So you know they're gonna last. So click on the link below to submit your designs. You don't want to sleep on this.
But from there, me and Mac started to blend, and he was already into breaking. He's like an OG B-boy. That guy knew everything about breaking, Gary, about graffiti even back then, before I even know what that was about.
What was the name of the breaking crew that was predominant for Bancroft?
He was there was LA Breakers and there was Shake City. And he was more down with Shake City because him and his sister's kind of involved with like one of the breakers there, but they were on the boulevard a lot breaking. He introduced me to Zodiac, and that's kind of where I got a taste of graffiti because they used to go down underneath the parking lot where Man's Chinese Theater, a little bit in the corner where the new mall structure is. That used to be a parking lot, and underneath they used to tag. Everyone from New York came down and wrote Flip Rock from NYC. I remember seeing that specifically. I'm like, what the hell is that? And then Gary started tagging the floor too, and I go, okay, well, give me a name. And he goes, well, you do this and that, and we'll call you Flex. And he was Flare, because homeboy was busting flares already. Oh. Flares in the windmills and all that stuff. Back then.
So that's like a gym for the viewers. The flare is like a breakdancing move where it's like a gymnastic, like on those horses, what you would do, a pommel horse, right? Exactly. But on the floor, which was very hard to pull off. It is to this day.
Oh yeah. Then we kind of transitioned into just graffiti and record collecting, and that's where we kind of got into DJing. So back to the transition to Emerson, then I got transferred to Emerson, and that's where I started seeing his name on buses. And I had already kind of been tagging a little bit with my name Flex, with little pintail markers. But I used to see his tag a lot with this crazy K that went, woo, one of these swirly Ks. It was wild, bro, to see his name up on a bench, and then I would see it again inside the bus that I was sitting on. So I was already a fan, you know what I mean? Before I even met him. And I heard legendary stories of this guy, redheaded guy, and he would just come in the bus and just tell the bus drivers I'm going in the, it's like folklore stuff. Like I'm barging in here, I'm writing on the ceiling, like the smooth with a mini or in the uni, and I would just go, how the hell did this cat get here? There must be, the only way to do it is just to do it, right? But I, naive, I didn't know how it really worked back then, and that was kind of like the beginning of the end, I should say. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with another episode of GRAFF TV. Today we have graffiti royalty in the studio. He's a LA legend, a Hall of Famer, and a graffiti pioneer. One of the few writers to ever go all city. An innovator who literally wrote the book on Los Angeles graffiti history. He's a founding father and a GRAFF historian. From the Legion of Doom, the original interstate freeway killer. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Wisk, WCA. Hey man, it's great to meet you and an honor to have you here. I have so many questions for you, but let's start with your cruise. Can you give us a rundown of all the crews you're in, man?
Absolutely. Like you said, West Coast artists. That's my heart right there. That was the first crew that I was in. Then I started IFK, Interstate Freeway Killers. I started BC, Blue Crew, and I started RTD Killers. I got into OTR a long time ago. Price put me down, rest in peace. I'm in RF, Rapid Fire. I'm in KOG, Killers of Giants. In New York, I'm in AOK. I'm in LOD, one of the original members from LOD. I hope I'm not missing any.
Wow, man, that's
Yeah.
a long list of legendary LA and New York crews. Now, let's start the interview with your parents, actually. Mm-hmm. Where are they from?
My dad, he was in the Lincoln Park area. And my mom, she was like in the Little Valley area. And they met on Whittier Boulevard. They came back from a Midnighters concert. And my mom and her girlfriends were walking down Whittier Boulevard going home. And my dad and his homeboys were in their Ronfla, and they just they must have tripped out and saw my mom. He jumps out and he starts talking to her.
Nice.
And,
what type of person was your father and your mother? Can you describe the type of people they were?
My dad was, they took him from the Vadio to Vietnam.
Wow.
He was 101st Airborne Division Screaming Eagle. I learned a lot from my dad, I learned a lot from my mother as well. What can I say? They just did a great job.
Nice. Where were you born?
I was born in East LA. Yeah.
Nice. What part of East LA did you grow up in? Did you grow up in East LA?
We did. I remember growing up in East LA, but I'm definitely from the West Side.
What was East LA like in those days growing up?
I used to live right next to the local neighborhood, and I used to trip out on them and how they dressed and how they walked, and them partying with girls and stuff, and that's just how I grew up. I grew up in the Vadio, so I always understood what it was like, the LA culture. I just thought that was just like how Angelinos did it. I didn't even know that, it was like its own little sect of the world. I just thought that's just my neighborhood.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I do. Yep. I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers.
Are you the oldest, middle, youngest?
I'm the oldest.
Nice.
Yep.
Who are you named after? Is there a story behind that?
Yeah. I'm a junior, actually. My dad thought that, his firstborn was going to have his name, so.
Around this early time while you're growing up in East LA, what type of kid were you? Were you a troublemaker, into school?
Yeah, I went to school, and because I looked white, I always, had this this idea that I was a surfer, which was different from the cholos. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was a cholo. I was a surfer. My hair was long. I wore OP shorts, lightning bolt shirts, slip-on Vans, puka shell necklace. and I subscribed to Surfer magazine as a kid. But, when I was 10 years old, I started ditching, smoking weed.
At 10 years old, what happens
Yeah.
for you to go that route?
It was just a natural progression of my life. It wasn't like I thought about, like, I just naturally progressed to that.
At age 11, you experienced hip hop for the first time.
Yep.
Where was this? And what did you see there?
Yeah, my mom used to work at Kaiser in Hollywood. So she would take us to the Boys and Girls Club, where the Home Depot is now. It's just not too far away from here. And at the Boys and Girls Club, I seen all these different elements of hip hop. I saw people doing windmills. I saw people with black books. I saw people in ciphers, and I'm just like, man, this is a trip. Like, these guys all have like their own little activity, and I was interested in all of it, But I was really fascinated with those guys that were writing. I'm like, hey, you're doing bubble letters and stuff. Like, what is that called? And they said it's called striking. I'm like, striking? Wow, that sounds pretty weird, So I started striking myself, At that age, I didn't really, go deep into it, but I was influenced by then.
Besides that point, how old are you when you first noticed graffiti on the street?
I had to be about 13.
And what were your thoughts about it there? Do you ask your parents why are they writing on the wall?
Oh, no. It's, it's just, again, to me, it was just an activity, Some people that were my friends were into BMX. Some of my friends were cholos. Some of my friends were, all kinds of other things, I even had some friends that were in the Boy Scouts, But I was into, riding waves. That's what I was into, So I remember when I'm like 13, 14, taking the bus to the beach, and that was my getaway, riding waves, watching the sunset, When I was 15, I remember walking up to the school. It was Uni High, and I'm walking up from Santa Monica and Westgate, and it's this big ass school, I'm just walking up, and I'm seeing like people doing pieces and stuff. I'm like, whoa, like I remember this stuff, I was already writing graffiti, I even started my own crew with like 5 to 7 different writers, but they were all me. So we were called the Mischief Bombers, and I just wrote all kinds of stuff. But I didn't think I was a writer. I just thought I was just, scrawling on stuff and passing time.
Do you remember some of the early names you saw on the street? Can you mention a few?
Yeah, at the beach, I started writing graffiti, and I was pretty good on a boogie board, and so I called myself the Shredder. I'd write the Shredder. And one of my good friends, the way he wrote his board, he kind of like snapped his board, So I call him the Snapper. And he later became Snap from UTI, who started Skill from UTI. Well, Snap and Skill started UTI. So that's how they got their start. But we were writing, like, I had a friend, his name was Flex, you know, because he used to flex, you know, the way it was all about like how you rode the waves, you know. I would shred a wave, Ron would snap, you know, Bob would flex, you know, so we had all types of different names.
You're also known for the name Ink, Page, and Doer.
Yeah.
How long do those three names last?
Yeah, they were all mischief bombers, you know. So Page One, I thought that sounded pretty cool, you know. Ink, and I stopped writing ink when I took the bus to Hollywood and I saw ink and silver. I'm like, oh, I better stop writing ink because there's like a real graffiti writer writing ink, you know. And ink and silver, they were up. Alski was up. I saw Frost and Demo from CBS. I didn't know they were from CBS. I just saw their name, Frost and Demo. I remember News from KSW. Yeah, KSW. No. Yeah, it was KSW. It was Alski, News, Day. And that's when I noticed, like, oh, these Alski, like all these guys were like writing graffiti. And then I saw Soon, you know, and Soon was like, that's real graffiti, you know. And I didn't know he was from New York. Like I didn't know about that stuff. I just thought like he was, you know, from LA writing graffiti, you know. Soon and Legit. And then I started, you know, really seeing that LA had a graffiti culture back then. I used to see, you know, Mr. 151 from Rockwood Street, you know. I seen the LA Bomb Squad, you know. I just knew that like there was a culture piece to LA and they called it graffiti.
Who first personally introduces you to graffiti? Is there someone who teaches you the unspoken rules?
No.
You just learned everything by sight, by looking, by seeing what's on the street?
By walking.
By walking.
I walked every street in LA. I mean, literally walked it from downtown to the beach.
At 13, you catch your first tag.
Mm-hmm.
Where was it, and what were you doing that day?
It had to be on the west side somewhere, you know. You know, I used to go racking a lot because I needed something that was more than a jumbo marker from the grocery store. You know, I needed a real graffiti tool. You know, so I used to like look at, you know, different stationery stores and stuff, and I saw this big marker. It was a jumbo marker, but it was called a Pilot, and it came in 4 colors. So I racked all 4 colors, you know, and I'm like, you know, just writing and writing and writing, and I found out like, fuck, these don't last that long, you know, like, oh, I maybe have to refill ink. Like, what should I refill the ink with? And then I found Marsh ink, you know, and I started like taking out the mesh of the marker and just flooding it with Marsh ink, T-grade ink, you know, and then started writing graffiti. Yeah. I mean, all this stuff, like, you know, I just learned through experience and through traveling, you know, like going to different beaches with boogie boarding, riding on the RTDs, like, and I remember as I started like kind of evolving into like from like boogie board graffiti or surfer graffiti to actual graffiti, I would start to see people up on the bus, and I started noticing some of the same names on the bus, you know.
In these early years, what school are you attending?
Yeah, I'm at
Junior
uni.
high.
I'm at uni. I get kicked out for graffiti. I go to Hamilton. I get kicked out for graffiti. I go to Venice. The principal of Venice says you're just too much of a distraction. You gotta leave. You know.
How were you getting caught?
I wasn't getting caught. Just people were just saying that this dude rode on my seat, and look at my ass. I got Wisk on my ass on the RTD. Like, You know, so they would, I guess, I mean, I didn't know that they were snitching on me, but yeah, I guess that's what they were doing, you know.
Speaking of the name Wisk,
Yeah.
your sister is partly responsible for your name. Can you tell us about that?
You know, she was there. We're at the table, you know, we're having some lunch and she's doing some schoolwork. And I'm like, I'm done with Doer. I'm done with Ink. I'm done with Page One. I'm actually done with the Mischief Bombers, you know. Like now it's time to like actually find my name and really do something, like really start my campaign. And she had asked me, you know, what a whisk wire was, and I wrote wire first. And I liked the way the letters connected, and then I wrote whisk. But I mean, I didn't spell it W-H-I-S-K. I just spelled it W-I-S-K. You know, I'm like, that's it right there.
Do you ask your friends an opinion of your new name? Do you keep it a secret?
Yeah, I didn't have no friends to ask. Like, I was just like a very unknown, long-haired writer that looked like a surfer.
Do you remember first going out to write Wisk?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I went to uni after my first day of school, and I seen everyone, Koozie Rock from WCA, Risky from WCA. He wrote Surf back then. I seen Legend from the Latin Kings, Fierce from the Latin Kings, Blitz, Crazy J. They all wrote on my school, and so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do my little thing at school. And so I racked some paint. I climbed up on the gym, and I did my first WK, which was like, I was hoping it would come out fresh, you know, like a nice WK letter. And I was like, oh man, I got work to do. I got to make that look better. And I didn't take a picture, nothing like that. But when they kicked me out, the dean of uni, he took a Polaroid picture of it and gave it to me.
Oh, wow.
So I have it at home.